Kids today might be lucky not to die and relieve their suffering if we have the right technology. And with GMOs, food, stem cells helping someone hear or see permanently again, and education in some ways, there's no excuse not to provide everyone. But as climate change becomes inevitable to normies with a lack of interest mixed with ignorance, then there won't be any room for helping once more and more climate refugees and their children come into the veneer that is freedom. Even on the flip side of the climate refugee might be ourselves, and we might never be let in, whether it be over vital resource protection, what our culture does, what we love or what we look like, or insides like blood isn't good enough. But we're lucky enough in our luxury to be reading this and other things in our heuristics that keep us safe and entertained, at least for now. Originally, I wanted the story to be called Botany is Serious Business because of loose connections to the far right in botany hobbies, taxonomy, and other naturalist ways of thinking. But the title seemed overly limiting, and I didn't want to seem like it was a total extrapolation, since things predate where I would like to segue. But I still have the theme involved in writing and title. I will be attempting to go from slight chronological order where my bias of interest might be completely fleshed out in the story, or my bias might not be fleshed out in the story, from where I first notice a pattern of racism and botany. I have to concede that it was merely a coincidence that the botanist connection was part of a grander scheme of vehicle utilizing the racist ideas of the far right. The racist ideas were packaged well before scientific approaches or even the concept of race, species, and everything in between. The idea of human first separated our species from the natural world because as humans we were claimed to have souls and others didn't. In the Bible, the world was claimed to be all for us. Meanwhile, some hunter-gatherers say animals sacrifice themselves to be eaten, walking right up to humans, they say. Since our mythology projects us at the top of all other animals, the lower rung becomes ours to devour, cage, make fight, and use their likeness as a reference for a dysgenic scapegoat, something filthy and something to fear, like Jewish people being called rats for Nazi propaganda. This is where the hierarchy would begin in our species. After assimilating and killing the Neanderthals, we left no records of our association with them aside from our DNA. Then controlling animals for our protection, then for agriculture, that gave us sickness and disease that helped us create instincts to avoid fleas, ticks, worms, etc. We then formed complex racial folklore, mythology of our own species, once becoming vastly more global, projecting the animal fear and hatred of our past disease avoidance symbolically onto other humans. Blood, fecal matter, maggots, flies, possibly deformities, something ugly in general, all avoided and turned into moral principles.